Hi, everyone. Welcome to another Mental Health on the Mat yoga class for your lunch break. My name is Kelsey. We'll go ahead and get started. I'm a therapist in Washington State, also a yoga teacher, and I just love combining mental health tools and yoga practice. So make yourself comfortable. As always, everything today is an offering or guided. So just listen to your body, do the moves that feel good for your body. Don't do the ones that don't feel good for your body. Just take this time to listen and tune to your own body and kind of build that intuitive muscle of doing what feels right and not necessarily what the teacher tells you, which is really important today. We're going to be doing some splits today. We won't do any splits on the ground. When I was younger, I did gymnastics for a very long time. And so I don't always like doing splits on the ground, but we have one that we'll try that's kind of like a funky bird pose up in the air. And then we'll do some seated splits as well. But I'll offer variations so that you can choose the level that feels really good for your body. We're going to start with our mental health theme and tools. So this month we've been working on New Year's resolutions, goals, um, and last time we've done a little bit about like boundaries, how to set intentions, how to achieve SMART goals. And this week we're going to be focused on one particular tool that's really helpful if you have difficulty with executive functioning. So difficulty with the part of you that sets tasks, follows a timeline, accomplishes the task. A good tool to use is the Pomodoro method. So we're going to go ahead and do a practice of the Pomodoro method. I'm going to move back to my seat so we can warm up our bodies to get our brains ready to receive some information. As always, today we'll do a little bit of a seated meditation, a warm up, and then a standing flow for our practice today. Let's begin just by working with our breath this morning, and we're going to add in some movement with it. But first, just letting yourself breathe naturally, noticing the rise and fall of your chest, sinking deeper into this moment. And go ahead and begin to move your arms gently, lifting your hands and lowering them. Tie this movement to your own breath, lifting your hands just a little bit, wrists soft on the inhale, and exhaling, floating everything back down. Inhaling to soften and lift up, exhaling to soften and float down. Let your hands be a demonstration of how much you're breathing right now. So each time you inhale a little bit farther, a little bit deeper, a little bit wider, spread your arms to follow that flow. As you breathe and move your arms and sync your body to your mind at the beginning of our practice, I'll share some information about the Pomodoro method. It was created in the 80s by an Italian person who had a kitchen timer that was shaped like a tomato, a Pomodoro. And this person found that they could set the timer for 25 minutes and then work on a task for that 25 minutes. And when the timer went off, if they had finished the task, if they had not finished the task, they would stop what they were doing and they would rest for about 5 minutes. And doing so helped them engage in the task without feeling overwhelmed by a task that might actually take much longer. But it also helps with your brain and integrating things that you're learning. Studies show that if you learn for a little bit and then take a break for a little bit, whether it's 25 minutes to a break of 5 minutes or 50 minutes to a break of 10 minutes, but that every hour you need about 10 minutes of a break to integrate everything that you've learned. And then after 2 hours of cycling through this, you need a longer break of about 30 minutes, maybe even a 30-minute nap to help your brain integrate even more. All right, if you haven't already, you can bring your hands to rest on your knees. Today, I'd love to teach you some lymph drainage as a warm-up for our body. So go ahead and take a fist. I won't tap too hard because of the microphone here, but tap on your sternum. All of your lymph drainage ends up in your heart. All of your lymph vessels and glands drain to your heart. So we want to tap that area first to allow some drainage into our heart, clearing the last bit of the block here. Next, we're going to rub our hands together to warm them up. And then gently, very gently massage from the back of your neck down into your collarbone. From the back of your neck down into the collarbone. Very gently, because your lymph vessels are closer to the surface of your skin. And if you massage deeply here, you're really working the muscles. And if you massage lightly here, then you're helping some lymph drainage. Beautiful. Go ahead and raise one arm, make a fist with your other hand. Gently tap into your armpit a couple times. And then just like you were stroking your neck, stroke from the top of your arm down your armpit. Again, we're draining our body into our heart so it can circulate it and we can release everything. We're going to work with the same arm. Tap the inside of our elbow and very gently from the fingertip side towards the shoulder side, rub the inside of your elbow here. You can let your arm rest too if that's helpful. Switching to the opposite side, raise one hand, tap in your armpit, and then gently rub towards your chest. And again with your elbow, tapping and gently rubbing. Being very gentle, you can take both hands and tap your lower abdomen. And then with a little bit more pressure here, rubbing from the inside of your hip up towards your belly button and switching sides. Stretching out your left leg, keeping it bent so you can reach underneath towards your knee. Gently tapping the back of that knee and taking both fingertips, rubbing from your foot end towards your hip end. And moving to the opposite side, tapping underneath your knee and gently pulling all the goodness of what's inside your lymphs. Wonderful. Go ahead and let that practice drop. We'll practice the Pomodoro method today. We have a short class, so we won't get to practice a full 2-hour cycle. So we'll just make sure we take some extra time for integration throughout our cycle, especially after we do more intense parts of the flows. Go ahead and inhale your arms high, hands facing each other, reaching up, and exhale into a forward fold. Let your hands trace along the floor as you roll your spine. Keeping your hands on the floor as your head rolls up. Hands slide back to your knees. Inhale those arms up again. We're going to the left this time. Left hand down, right hand reaches over as far as you can go. And same thing as we sit up, we're going to gently drag our left hand on the mat as we place our right hand down. Inhaling both arms up, exhaling everything to the right side. And letting our bodies slide back to center. Inhaling both hands up. Exhale, cactus your arms to the side, chin to the sky. Elbows bent at a 90-degree angle, pressing those elbows back. And let everything go. We're going to start with our legs today in deer position. I'm going to take my socks off so we've got more room. I've got more traction here today. In deer pose, we're going to leave our left foot as if it was in the cross-legged position. So ankle on the right side, knee out to the left. Pick up your right foot and bring it as far to the side as you can. Your right knee is going to lean forward. You don't want it stacked on top of your left foot. You're going to slide it more to the side. It's mirroring your left foot, but rotated about 90-degree angles. Wonderful. Go ahead and inhale your arms up. We're going to exhale, bring our right hand to left knee, left hand behind us as we gaze over our left shoulder here. Deepen into this stretch. And back to center. While we're here, we're going to inhale those arms up for a forward fold. Because our legs are in a funky pose, make sure you set your hands down first so they can support you as you slide forward. Only going as deep as feels good for your body. Rising on back up to center, switching out our legs. So again, our right leg is going to look like it's in cross-legged position, left foot out to the side, dropping the knee down and in and sliding that foot back. Inhaling arms up, exhaling left hand to right knee, right hand behind you as you gaze over that right shoulder. And untwisting everything, coming back to center. Arms head up and then down and forward into our forward fold. The first practice of our splits here, we're going to keep our left foot where it is. If that's uncomfortable to your knee, you can straighten it out in front of you. Our right foot, we're going to bring knee up towards the ceiling. And one variation you can try is to interlace your fingers around your knee and just pull your knee closer to your chest. That's option one. Option two, you can interlace your fingers under your knee, pull your thigh close to your chest, and begin to straighten this leg. And option three, you're going to straighten that leg all the way. Reach your left hand to the inside of your right foot and let your right hand drop down. Beautiful, beautiful. So from the side, it's going to look like this. Option one, option two, and option three. Again, if it doesn't feel good for your left foot, you can straighten it like that. Wonderful. Breathe. And instead of curling your forehead to your knees, see if you can keep the crown of your head tall and pull your foot closer to your head here. Great. Let's give ourselves a break. We're going to go into it one more time. Try a fourth option of a twist. So picking whichever position feels best for your body. Still engaging with the leg with the left hand. Your right hand is going to shoot back behind you, parallel to the floor. Gaze is going to follow that hand back. In the other variations, it might look like this. Untwist, unwind, come back to center. Let's switch our legs to the opposite side. So bringing your right foot to the left, to the right side, knee down. We'll be playing around this time with our left knee. First, pulling your knee closer to your chest. And then trying out some of the other variations. Your right hand is going to go on the inside of your left foot. As you kick into that hand, straightening up, you can release your left hand down to the mat. Give yourself a break. Choose whichever variation feels good to try for our twist. Getting your legs set first, then sending your left hand back behind you. Gaze is going to follow that left hand back. And untwisting, coming all the way back down. Bring your feet together in front of you. Send your knees out to the side. You can grab around your big toes or around all of your toes. Inhale up, exhale. Bend in your elbows, bring your chest forward over top of your bound feet. Wonderful. I hope those variations of the splits were all right for your body. We're going to swing our feet to the side to come into tabletop now. Hands below your shoulders, knees below your hips. Move on through your cat-cow rotations. You'll be familiar with these by now. We do them almost every class. Basically, just shifting your spine up and down, opposite from your chin as you breathe. Plant your right hand directly below your chest. Left hand is going to come up to the sky. On a big inhale and on your exhale, send it underneath your armpit to the opposite side, lowering your right shoulder to the mat so that your left shoulder also reaches the mat. Pressing into your right hand, left hand goes high and plants back on the mat. Switching sides here, raising your right hand up. Exhaling all the way through. I guess you're just bending in the left elbow until your right shoulder reaches down towards the mat. And coming back on up to tabletop. We're going to wake up our wrists a little bit here. Take your hands and externally rotate them. So send your fingers to the side till your fingers are pointed either out at a 45-degree angle or pointed towards your knees. To deepen this stretch, you can sink your weight backwards. To make it a little easier, you can sink your weight forward. Untwist your wrists, fingers pointed towards the front. This time, lift your hand, one hand at a time. Send your fingers to the back underneath. So the backs of your hands are on the mat. We're not going to put any of our body weight into this. So that's why we're doing one hand at a time. My right hand is supporting me, and I'm just gently pressing into my left wrist. Switching sides, same thing. Left hand will be supporting you as you send your fingers towards the back of your right hand on the mat. And fingers back facing the front. Tuck your toes. We're headed into a downward dog, lifting your hips. Hips to the sky, shoulders down to the mat. Go ahead and pedal out your feet here. Bending in the knees. And walk your feet towards the middle of the mat, not all the way towards your hands. Release your grip on your hands and let your arms just hang here. Relax into this forward fold. Let yourself stretch. We're going to come up very slowly, maybe slower than we've ever come up before, by rolling our spine up vertebrae by vertebrae. Let your fingertips hang. Let the last part of you that comes up be the very top of your head. Until you're standing in mountain pose in the middle of your mat. We're going to inhale our arms high. Exhale, sink into our heels. You can lift your toes as you send your hips down and back. Hands come together at heart center. We're going to go down into this pose as low as we can go, maybe even putting your chest on your hands, on your thighs, on your knees here. Keeping those toes lifted. Holding and pressing into the earth, releasing your toes, arms up, exhaling them down back to mountain pose. Inhaling our arms up. Exhale, we're going to lift our toes again as we come down, this time not all the way, sinking into chair pose, engaging your core, arms reach up in alignment with your ears. Press on up, reach high, and then exhale those arms down to the side. We're going to do that flow 2 more times, inhaling our arms up, exhaling, lifting our toes, sinking down as low as we can go. Inhaling up, exhaling, arms down. Into chair pose, arms inhale up, toes lift. Sink your hips down. When you look down at your knees, you should be able to see your big toes still. Press on up. Release your hands one more time. Inhaling all the way up, hands at heart center. Lift those toes as you sink down. Press on up. Exhale those arms down before reaching on up. Lifting those toes and sinking into chair pose. Great. Thanks for trying out that new flow with me today. To integrate it, let's practice our resting pose. We're going to come down into child's pose. Take your knees wide, knock your toes together. Hands go forward, weight back on your heels. If you'd rather take an integration moment in mountain pose, you're welcome to stay standing on your mat. One of the hardest things for me to do is take this integration time in between projects or while I'm working on a project. I get so excited, I never want to stop. Hmm. Maybe think of one thing that you learned about yourself while doing that new flow. And we're going to shift our weight forward, rise on up, back into mountain pose. Standing this time at the top of your mat, let's move through our sun salutation. Inhaling, arms up high, palms facing each other. Exhale, swing those arms around, forward fold. Inhale for a halfway lift, stretching between crown and tailbone. Hands on your thighs or shins, and then exhale back down. Bend in the knees till your hands meet the mat. Step your feet back for plank pose. Check that your index fingers are parallel. You're pressing down into all 10 fingers. And choose to keep your knees lifted or lowered as you lower your body down onto the mat. Squeezing your legs together, hands underneath your shoulders, inhaling upper body for cobra. Exhaling, plant your left cheek on the mat. Inhale, lift your chest, your chin. Exhale, plant your right cheek on the mat. Tuck your toes underneath you. Press through tabletop, lifting those knees to lift your hips into downward dog. Walk your feet all the way forward as far as they can go. Release your hands, come into a forward fold, and roll your spine on up. Back into mountain pose. We'll do that 2 more times here. Once more guided a little bit faster and once more on your own. Arms inhale up, exhale down into forward fold. Inhale for a halfway lift. And exhale, bend in the knees, plant your hands on the mat, come into plank. Hold for a moment and slowly lowers yourself all the way down to the mat. Inhale to lift for cobra. If you want to do 2 cobras there, you can. We're going to tuck our toes, send our hips to the sky for downward dog. And walk on forward. Inhale all the way up. And once more, all on your own this time, following your breath with each movement. Great job, everyone. Take your time, finish your flow. If you're already there, we're going to go ahead and move through some warrior poses. Take your hands to your hips, shift your weight to the right foot, lift your left foot, and step back into a lunge. You can adjust your right foot if needed. Make sure your knee is above that ankle. Drop your back heel down at a 45-degree angle. Inhale your arms high up in front. This is our warrior one. Palms are facing each other. Sink down a little bit deeper. exhale your right arm forward, left arm back into warrior two. We're going to hold these lunge legs for a while. You can always straighten that front leg to make it a little bit easier for you. Reach wide with both hands. Send your left hand to your low back, right hand up and over, reaching behind you now. Gaze follows as your chin lifts into our revolved warrior. And let's send our arms wide again, back to warrior two. Bend your front elbow. Place your forearm on your front knee. Swing your back hand up and forward in a long line with your back foot. Great job. Remember, you can always give yourself a break if needed. We're going to come back into warrior two. Straighten that front leg now. Hinge at your hips. Keep your arms long, wide apart. Send your front right hand to the inside of your front ankle or closer to your knee if that's easier. Left hand goes high. Gaze is going to follow that left hand up for triangle pose. Wonderful. Come on back up to warrior two. Sink back down into that lunge. Plant your hands on your front knee and swing your left foot back up to the top of your mat. Go ahead and shake out your right leg. Good, strong leg work today. We're going to bring our hands to our hips and repeat on the opposite side. Shift over to the left. Pick up your right foot. Send your right foot back in a lunge. Drop your back heel down, toes at a 45-degree angle. Swing your arms high, palms facing each other, warrior one. Send your left hand forward, right hand back, gaze stays forward in warrior two. Keep reaching here to send your right hand down to your low back, left hand up and over, reaching behind you as your gaze follows, chin lifted. Swing your arms back out to the side, warrior two. Bend your front arm, forearm on top of your knee. Send your right hand up and over, a nice long straight line in our side angle. Swing that right arm back, lift your chest for warrior two, arms extended opposite directions. Straighten your front leg, hinge at the hips, keep those arms extended. Left hand's going to the inside of your left ankle, right hand to the sky as your gaze follows. Swing those arms back into warrior two, bend in that front leg. Stay strong here, everyone. Bring your hands to your front knee to help you bring that right leg back up to the top of your mat. And this time, shake out that left leg. We're going to come back to child's pose for our integration. Again, if you want to stay standing in mountain pose for that, you're welcome to. Send your knees to the edges of your mat, big toes together, sink your weight back, walk your hands forward, and just let yourself rest here for a moment. Again, you can think of one thing you learned, about yourself, about the poses, a new thought that came to your mind as you were doing these. Take this time to integrate. When you're ready, we're going to shift our weight forward. Try that same sequence again, this time following our breath. So come to standing at the top of your mat. Hands on your hips, shift your weight to the right side. Swing your left leg back. Heel drops down at a 45-degree angle and our feet stay here the whole time. Inhale your arms up to warrior one. Exhale, open to warrior two. Inhale, swing your arms around the circle for our reverse warrior, revolved warrior. Exhale, back to warrior two. Inhale, drop down in the lunge. Left arm reaches up and over, side angle. Exhale, warrior two. Inhale, straighten that front leg, hinge at the hips, triangle pose. And exhale, back to warrior two. Wonderful. Hands on that front knee, bring that back leg up. Shake out your right leg. On the opposite side, here we go. Shifting your weight to the left side, hands on your hips, right leg back. Get your feet in place here. And here we go, inhaling up to warrior one. Exhale, warrior two. Inhale, revolved warrior. Exhale, warrior two. Inhale, side angle. Exhale, warrior two. Inhale, triangle pose, straightening that front leg. Exhale, warrior two. Hands on that knee, bring your weight up to the top of your mat, shake out your left leg. Excellent job, everyone. We're gonna come to the middle of our mats. I'd like you this time to cross your legs at the ankles. Inhale your hands up. Exhale down into a forward fold. Doesn't matter which leg is on top right now. Inhale on up. We're gonna switch sides, so whichever ankle was behind, bring it around to the front. Inhale those arms up and exhale, drop on down into your forward fold. Inhale on up. Wonderful. Let's come down back into tabletop. We're going to practice again, setting up for some more splits here. Go ahead from tabletop. You can stay in tabletop as one variation. You can shift your hips down for a plank with your knees on the mat, or you can lift your legs for a full plank. We're going to strengthen our legs here by lifting one of our legs up parallel to our body. So you can be in tabletop, lifting that leg up straight. You can be in our kneeling plank, lifting that leg up straight. Or you can be in a full plank and lift that leg up. Go ahead and release everything back down to the mat. We'll try again on the opposite side. choosing which variation works for your body, lifting the right leg up. And sending it back down. Go ahead and shift your hips up to the sky, back into downward dog. Wonderful. We're gonna bend in our elbows to get our forearms down to the mat here. Great. If that's tricky, you can try out puppy dog pose, which is a similar thing. You'll be reaching your hands forward, and then you can put your elbows down on the mat with your knees on the mat. So again, two variations here. All right, you guys have been holding this a while. You can always take a break if you need to. The variation of splits we're going to try is simply lifting one of our legs up into the air. So we often do three-legged dog here. We're just adding a challenge today by keeping our forearms on the mat as we lift that leg up. Wonderful. Go ahead and bring that leg down. And we'll try again on the other side. Starting in downward dog. Lowering your forearms down to the mat and lifting the opposite leg. Great. This does work too if you're down in puppy pose. You can lift your leg. It's a little less heavy on arm strength this way. Great job, everyone. Go ahead and lower those legs. We're going to sink our weight back onto our heels again for another little moment of integration. Checking in with yourself. How did that go? It was a new, maybe complex trick to learn. But still, what's one thing you learned? One thing you took away? One thing you noticed about yourself? All right, go ahead and shift your weight forward back to tabletop. Bring your left foot up in front of you and swing it close to your right hand. We're going to press our weight forward as our left knee comes down to the side to come into pigeon pose. Another way you can get into this pose is if you're sitting crisscross applesauce. Send your right leg back. You can go at an angle, or you can straighten that right leg to get into our half pigeon pose. This is one of my favorite poses. All right, let's switch sides here. Again, you can start in tabletop. Swing your right foot forward closer to your left hand, drop down that knee and sink on down. Or you can start in crisscross applesauce and play around with moving your left leg back as your hands are on the mat in front of you. This helps give you different variations that this pose can happen in. Remember, our only goal today with all these tricky new moves, all these splits and deep stretches, is just to listen to our body. Maybe you're not doing any of these poses. Maybe you stayed in child's pose the whole time. Whatever you did, I hope you're enjoying it. Let's come on out. We're gonna roll onto our backs now for our last few poses. We're gonna do some supine splits here. Stretch your right leg long, bring your left knee to your chest, and again, you can just simply pull your left knee to your chest by interlacing your fingers around that knee. That's variation 1. Variation 2, you can interlace your fingers around your thigh, as you begin to straighten this leg. And variation 3, you're going to straighten that leg all the way as you pull your toes towards your forehead. And let's send our left foot long and try these splits out on the other side. Knee to your chest first. And then any variations you want to explore. And releasing this foot back down. Go ahead and take some time for that last movement, that last way you want to move your body, stretch your body, be with your body before we enter Shavasana. If you want to try out the Pomodoro method, you can set timers on your phone. My partner uses the timers that have like the little singing bowl bells that ring, which is always sweet to hear whenever he's working on tasks. I like to use the Pomodoro method by, I create like a small task for myself that's like a part of the task. That takes about 15 to 20 minutes. And then when I'm done with that 15 to 20 minutes on my 5-minute break, I try to get up and do something active. Oftentimes it's the dishes. Those pile up for me pretty quickly. Okay, go ahead, stretch yourself out, relax, and get into whatever good Shavasana pose you want to be in today. And take this final moment of integration. They say you can help integration and learning things by, when you go into integration, listing as many things you can remember from what you just learned as possible. So in your head, you can list as many things as you can remember about your experience going through the practice today, things that you want to remember. And then take a big inhale and exhale, let everything go. My voice will guide you when it's time to wake up from Shavasana. All right, everyone. Time to bring some life back into your experience, some movement back into your body, some light back into your eyes. Some big full breaths back into your lungs. And to make your way to a seated position. As always, thank you so much for joining. Thank you for watching. Thank you for being a part of the Mental Health on the Mat. I just love getting to build this community. And I hope to see you all next week. Bye, everyone.